Hi, and welcome to MiRealSource's new series, Quick Tips. I'm Debbie Fajardo, Director of Education for MiRealSource, and we're dedicated to bringing you great content to help you navigate Paragon and all the resources we have. I hope you'll enjoy today's Quick Tip. Are you struggling to find comps for your listing? Did you know there is more than one data source for you to check out? Have you looked at Realist to see what might have been sold privately, like a FSBO, and not entered into the MLS? Realist is the public records database. They gather the information from each municipality. And in today's quick tip, we're going to show you how to find those comparables.
So in Paragon, we were going to go ahead and put a property address in. So I'm going to use my power search bar at the top here. And I'm going to type in just one of my listings. If there's a specific property you need to run this on, you're more than welcome to use that property. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my 38890 Shoreline. And as I type it up in my power search at the top here, I'm going to go ahead and select the property. It's right here. And that should open up the full listing. So we do have a quick action link on our listings that will take you directly into Realist. And the idea of doing this is if you want to run comps on the property. And Realist is a little different than running comps in your Cloud CMA. The reason being is that Realist will give you tax records and MLS records. So if there is a for sale by owner, this is a great way to find it. If you have a property you're having a hard time finding comps, this is a way to go, is go at least in your Realist and see what you can find in there. So I went ahead and pulled up my listing, the 38890 Shoreline. And from the Legacy Full Agent Report, if you take a look at the left side here underneath, you've got this little red button here, this little quick action link. And if you hover over it, it should say Realist Property Detail. I'm going to go ahead and select that. It's going to pull it right into Realist for me. In the top left, you have a launch Realist, but then you have comparables. I'm going to select comparables right here. And now it's going to allow us to actually search the area and select which homes we want to use as comparables. And you have to be a little patient here. It is pulling all the records that it has, and it's trying to pull the MLS and the tax records. So it does take a little bit of time to load at times. So again, your map should be at the top, and you'll see they're numbered. And if you look at the numbers, they will coincide with the spreadsheet at the bottom of those listings. So I'm not sure if I have a lot of comparables here, and it's taking some time to load them up. But the numbers that coincide on your map, again, will be the listings at the bottom. And you'll notice they're all highlighted. And as we go through these and we select or unselect, they will remove those numbers on your map for you. We can adjust. This is automatically, it's pulled some properties for us. I'm going to actually zoom out a little bit so you can see. So it's pulled in the area, and now I can make some modifications. And the way I can do this is if you look, and this has been changed a little bit. If you were in Realist before, they have made some changes. So if you look at the top right is where our search criteria is now. If you select that, it's going to show you what it's searching by. So these are my options here. So I can make any changes I'd like. It starts off with the number of comparables. It only gives a maximum of 10. If you used it before, we did have more. They are working on getting us more comparables. I'm not sure why this was changed, but they are working on that for us. And then you have the sort method. You have different ways of the results showing up. Mine is by living building area, but if you select the drop-down menu, you have an option to do it by the distance, if you want the homes that are closest to the subject property, by the most recent, by the sale price, or again, by the square footage. Under there, you have these options. You can include property images, which you will want to include. You can include that value projected by assessment, the value projected by the square foot, and that real AVN, that automated value. Any of these items that you don't want to include, you can uncheck. It will not be in your report. If you go down a little bit further, the data source, we want both. We want to make sure we're pulling MLS records and tax records, so we're getting those for sale by owners. As far as pool goes, I keep it as no preference. If this specific property had a pool and I want to make sure I'm pulling if there's pools in the area, you can select that. I'd like to go up to a mile around the property. You can go up to 10 miles. So maybe in a rural area, you might need to go a little bit further out, then you can adjust this as needed. Scroll down further, you can adjust it by price for your comparables. Year built is great if you're in an area where there's new construction, older homes. That's a great way to also remove some of those older ones that you may not want, or make sure you have all the newer homes. Bedrooms, bathrooms, stories, those also can be adjusted depending on the home. For stories, keep in mind you can only go one or 2-story. It doesn't give you an option for a 1.5. So a lot of times if I have a split level, I do keep this open to make sure I'm pulling that, I'm not missing it. Tax and distress sales, if you don't want to include them, you can remove them. So you can include all the distress sales, you can exclude all of them. I can have just the REO sales or just short sales. So again, you do have that option. The boundary, I can select if I want the same subdivision, same zip code, same city. You know, if it's a condo, you may want to use this because that'll hopefully keep you from pulling from other condos in the area. Site influence, is it waterfront? Is it by an alley? Is it by an airport? This obviously will help you to remove some of the ones you may not want to use. So it does give you an option for the location. D-type recording date, or you can go by sales date. I do like sales date. And then how far back do I want to go? The maximum is 1 year. So if I don't want to go 12 months back and maybe I want to see the last 6 months, what kind of activity we've had, you can select it there. You also have an option of doing a date range. I can use a calendar, or I can do a beginning date and leave it open until today. So whichever you choose. The square footage. So you have an option to select the percentage of the square footage you would like it to search by the subject property. So for example, this property is about 1760. Do I want it to go 20% above and beyond that square footage? Do I want it to go more? It does give you an option to go as high as you want. I know a lot of appraisers will go up to 20%. So usually I use a 20% mark. If you find you're not getting another result or enough results, adjust these as needed. You can also put in an actual range for your square footage. Same thing with this lot area. If I have acreage, this is a great way to set up the percentage of the acreage I want to go above and beyond in that area. This is a regular subdivision. It does have a half-acre lot, but I still want to just search it, leave it open. Style. So with the style, just like Paragon, we have structure, style, and style. We always want to use structure, style. With this, you want to use land use. The problem with style, again, if you select these, I find that results are limited or you don't get any at all, especially for condos. So I usually skip the style completely and I go down to my land use. I have it set up so it says same as subject, and then I added my single family. There is an option for condo in here, townhouse, or whatever you're looking for. In order to add these, you can check mark them and it includes them. Anything on the right's included, or if I want to remove them, there's an X here and I can take them out. At the bottom, you have two options. I can submit, which will save this for now, just for the search, or I can select save and submit. If you select save and submit, you are now making this a default. If you've made a lot of changes as far as maybe the characteristics, a pool, things of that sort that you may not want each time, then I would select just submit. If you made other changes in here that you want to see every time you're running a search, select save and submit. So I'll go ahead and hit save and submit and give it a second to load. And now it's going to adjust your comparables that are showing up. It may remove some or add some depending on what you put into your search criteria. And there we go. So now it's zoomed into my map and you can see the properties are here. So I'm going to take a look, and if I had more time today, I would actually spend more time opening each one up. I'm going to open one to show you right now, but I usually go through the photos. I like to see my interior photos. I like to see the remarks and get an idea, is this a good comparable for my subject property? So I'm going to go ahead and open up. There is a detail report. It just looks like a little piece of paper. And when you click on it, it should open up that specific listing. And if you see a front photo, then this should be in the MLS, and there's sometimes more additional photos, and you can click on it to see if there's anything else. If there's no other photos popping up, then they only have that front photo. And as you look at this, it's going to give you all the same information as it did when I selected the subject property and pulled it into Realist. It's going to give me owner information, and as I scroll through it, location information, tax information, gives you that all the assessments and the ABM and so forth. So everything is in here, same thing. If I look at this and decide it's not a good comp, if you look in the top right corner, it says include in comparables. I have it check marked. I can uncheck it. It will not include it in my report. If I want to keep it, I can. To see the other properties, if you look in the top middle, it says 1 of 10. There's an arrow here. I can select the arrow. It's now going to load my second comparable that I selected. And I can do the same thing and look at the photos, read the information about it, and see, is this one going to be a good one or not? Let's see if this one has additional photos or not. It's not loading them. So it looks like they only have a front view on this one also. So again, you can uncheck here You can keep it checked and continue going through them. So again, if we were doing a real CMA right now, I would be walking through each one of these and making sure they're good or not. So for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and just X this out in the top right. This will close this individual and take you back to the screen we were on. So we will take you back over where your map and the one-line report is here at the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is I can just uncheck what I don't want to use. As you look at your one-line report, you're going to notice it's like an Excel spreadsheet. You're going to have them, right now they are set up, I had selected my sort method by square foot. So it's going by the closest square foot to my subject property. But maybe I want to take a look at these in a different sort method. So I can go to whatever section I want, maybe the year built. And if you click on it here, it should reload it into either low to high or high to low, whichever way you selected. Same thing with sale price, date, acreage, whatever you want. You can sort by one section just like we do in Paragon. So you can resort it. And if you scroll here at the bottom, you can see the additional fields it has. These can be moved around also. So if I find as I'm going through these, I want to see the property address here and be able to read more about it, I can actually left click on a section and drag it and move it wherever I would like it. And that will put it back in another place and bring things closer that are more important. So maybe the sale price I want closer, so I'm going to pull that in. All right, so as I go through these, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the left side, and this is where I can uncheck or check them. So I'm going to remove a couple here, like this one that's 448,000 is nowhere near the property that I'm using, so I definitely want to pull these high ones out because these are not good comps for this little 1,700 square foot ranch that I have with no basement. So I'm going to remove a couple more. So just have a few selected that we can use for the report itself so you can view what it looks like. And we'll take a couple more out here. Once you're done looking at these, you can go ahead and create your report. And the way you create your report is going to be on the right bottom of your screen. It says Generate Report right here. So as you select this, it's going to load your report for you in the different sections that are included. So if you look at the top left of your screen, once it loads, you're going to have the first tab is your property details. That's the first page we looked at when we opened up any of the listings themselves as a detailed report about that specific listing. The comparables is going to give me more information here, and then I have a couple more tabs we're going to look at. So with the comparables, I've got my map, and as I scroll down, I'm going to have my search criteria, my statistics, and then it's going to give me my comparables. So now here is where I favor cloud more than I favor running comps in here. If you notice, I only have one photo on each. You'll only see that one photo front view, whatever they have, or an aerial, if it was a for sale by owner, on this and in the report itself. You'll see all the photos for the subject property, but not for the comparable. So this I would love to be able to see more photos, and I think that would be very beneficial. But when you get the report itself, it does not include those. So you can see the comparables are here, and a couple things you'll want to note. As I go through these, you will also see MLS sold price, sale price, and you will see a recording date and document date on here. What you want to look at to see if it's a for sale by owner is if it says MLS sold price or if it says sale price. If you see a different price in sale, then there should be a record on there that was a for sale by owner. So let's see if any of these. Okay, so here's one right here, an example. So this one had a price for $128 that was sold in the MLS on April of 1998, but it looks like there was tax records. It sold for $175 on February 28th, 2020. So that's how you can see the price difference and if it's a for sale by owner. If you also, again, you might see MLS and tax again, those will show if MLS records are showing one thing, tax records are showing something else. Same thing with this one here, which looks like bathrooms. It's saying that the tax records show one, MLS are showing two. So those are things to watch out for too as you're going through these. To load the next comparable, because you'll see I only have 4 listed here, you have an arrow here at the right at the very last one. I select that, it's going to start loading my next one for me. And you can go through them from here. Okay.